countdown that never starts but never ends. What if a war that should have lasted days simply didn't end? Not with a bang, not with a treaty, just escalation, missile by missile, headline by headline. If the conflict between Iran and Israel drags on, what truly unfolds? Welcome back to FactNest, my friend. Last time, we explored the unthinkable, a nuclear strike from Tehran. But what if that wasn't the end of war, just the beginning of something far worse? As the war lingers, Israeli cities remain under constant fire from Hezbollah's rockets. The Iron Dome intercepts hundreds, but not all. Iran's drone campaigns intensify, stretching Israeli defense lines thinner each day. Meanwhile, American warships increase their presence near the Strait of Hormuz. As regional powers prepare for a wider confrontation, markets begin to panic. Crude oil surges toward $150 per barrel. The Dubai Stock Exchange stumbles. Asian trade reels from uncertainty. This isn't a regional dispute anymore. It's a fuse lit under the global economy. Civilian infrastructure starts to collapse under the pressure. Hospitals in both Haifa and Tehran face shortages of electricity, supplies, and peace. People line up for clean water, bread, and medicine. And while the world watches, the war sinks deeper into chaos. If you're watching this and haven't subscribed yet, now's the time to hit that button. Not because it helps us, but because spreading awareness may help stop this from becoming our future. A war with no borders, the expanding fire. A war with no borders. The expanding fire as the conflict endures, it no longer respects geography. Lebanese militias unleash thousands of rockets. From the north, Syrian air corridors become lifelines for weapons and reinforcements. Yemeni Houthis targets shipping lanes in the Red Sea, stretching Israel's and the West's resources across. Three fronts. Inside Iraq, pro-Iranian militias strike U.S. installations, provoking retaliatory drone strikes. By this point, the war has fractured into a constellation of proxy clashes. Cities become battlegrounds, civilians become statistics. Every border becomes a front line. Meanwhile, Tehran faces internal strain, millions displaced, fuel rations imposed, digital blackouts spread. The regime blames foreign interference, while unrest bubbles beneath the surface. But it's not just a Middle Eastern tragedy anymore. The Strait of Hormuz becomes a geopolitical chokehold. A single missile could halt 20% of the world's oil. Insurance costs for oil tankers skyrocket. Shipping delays ripple from the Gulf to Guangzhou to California. Markets freeze. Investors flee. Emerging economies. Food prices soar in Africa and Southeast Asia. Innocent nations far from the battlefield now suffer famine, inflation, and civil unrest. NATO holds back, but tensions rise in Brussels. China calls for calm, but quietly prepares for instability. Russia uses the chaos to expand influence in Syria and Lebanon. The war's center may be the Middle East, but its tremors are global. And what about diplomacy? Regional summits collapse into shouting matches. UN envoys fly between capitals, but no one's listening. Peace feels distant, hope fading. The cost of continuation and the shadow of what comes next if this war doesn't end soon. The price won't just be in blood, it will be in trust, in memory, in the very systems that hold modern life together. Health systems crumble. Cancer patients in Israel miss treatment due to evacuations. Hospitals in Tehran run out of morphine and electricity. Radiation fears from tactical strikes lingered in the soil. The water, the food. Iran's central plains could lose their agricultural viability for years. Farmers leave. Crops fail. Famine whispers through provinces that once fed the region. The psychological toll grows. Children born under sirens. Families torn apart not just by death, but by the unbearable weight of waiting for the next attack. Entire generations traumatized not just in the Middle East, but across a world watching in fear. Meanwhile, international law strains under pressure. The ICC considers investigations into war crimes from missile attacks on schools to cyber warfare on civilian infrastructure. But what is justice? In a world where survival becomes the only currency, Latest updates June 16th, 2025 to 224 Iranians killed in Israeli airstrikes. Iran responds, 24 Israelis killed, hundreds injured. U.S. Navy expands presence in Gulf. New Iranian missile named after Qasem Soleimani threatens deeper strikes. BBC confirms, heavy Israeli air raids continue in southern Lebanon. CNN reports, the U.S. is increasing military presence in the Gulf. No confirmed ceasefire, just unofficial pauses in certain sectors. Iran's proxy forces remain armed, waiting for orders. Talks are ongoing behind closed doors, but peace still elusive. So what happens next if global powers miscalculate? Escalation becomes inevitable. If the Strait of Hormuz closes, oil spikes could collapse fragile economies. If nuclear facilities are struck, accidentally or deliberately, we enter a new era of environmental catastrophe. If nothing changes, everything else might. So here's the question. How many more headlines does it take before action replaces apathy? If you've stayed with us this far, thank you. Hit like, share this episode, not for clicks but for consciousness, because the world we live in is shaped by what we refuse to ignore. Coming next on FactNest, what if world powers step in? In our next episode, we explore the dangerous dance of diplomacy, deterrence, and domination. US, Russia, China. What happens when the giants move? And until then, here's to peace, true peace across our world, especially in the Middle East.